Hello everybody, today we're going to be starting our discussion about matrices. So let's go ahead and hop into this. So a matrix is just a rectangular arrangement of numbers that are in rows and columns. So remember, rows run horizontally, columns run vertically. Now we can tell the dimension by stating it m by n, where m is the number of rows and n is the number of columns. So let's take a look at this one here. So let's count the number of rows. So if we go down and count the rows, we've got one row here. Oh, it's not working. I guess I can't write on this one. So we got 1, 2, 3 rows by 1, 2 columns. So this is a 3 by 2. So notice this one has 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and only 1 column. So this would be a 4 by 1. So how about that one? What would that be? So it would be 2 rows and 4 columns, right? So it would be a 2 by 4. So that's the first thing that we need to be able to do with matrices, is be able to tell the dimensions. So it's rows by columns. So an equal matrix just means it has the same number of rows, columns, and all the corresponding elements are exactly the same. So all the same numbers have to be in the same spot. So if you ever see that term, that's what that means. And there's also some other terms that you might come across. So row matrix just means there's only one row. Column matrix means there's one column. A square matrix means the number of rows and columns are the same. And then a zero matrix just means that all the elements inside are 0. So matrix addition and subtraction, both are pretty straightforward. You can only add or subtract if the matrices have the same dimensions. So they have to have the same number of rows and columns. And if they do, all you do is you add or subtract the corresponding elements. So let's take a look at this. So we look at this and we say, all right, do they have the same dimensions? Yes, they are both 3 by 2s, right? So now we just add the corresponding elements. So we'd start off with our first one here. So we'd have 2 minus -1. That would give us a 3. Then we go with -4 minus 0, -4. And we would just keep going down the 5 minus -2, 7, 0 minus 1, -1. So that's all there is to it. And you can check these in the calculator, but for adding and subtracting, they're way more work to type into a calculator than I think just adding or subtracting them. So there's something called scalar multiplication. So that just means that you have to multiply everything by a number that's on the outside. So this is like the distributive property that we know about. So with this one, this is just telling us we need to multiply all of our elements by 4. So our first element would be 8, then we'd have -16, 20, 0, 4, -12. Just multiply them all by that number. That's all there is to it. So with a problem like this, all we need to do here is we need to set the corresponding elements equal to each other. So we would start off and say 2x equals y. And we'd have 2x plus 3y equals 12. So now we could go through and use substitution, elimination, whatever method you prefer. So with this one, I'm going to use substitution because we know that y is equal to 2x. So I'm going to plug in 2x for y. And I end up with 4y equals 12. I divide both sides by 4 and I get y equals 3. So now I can plug that 3 back in and solve for x. So I plug a 3 in here. I would divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 3/2. So we know the solution to this system is 3/2, 3. All right, so you also might have to deal with addition and subtraction and a scalar. So let's take a look at this one here and see what we got. Let's see if this is going to work. So the first thing is we need to get rid of the scalars. So we're going to multiply everything by 3 in the first one. And then the second one, we're going to multiply everything by 2. Oops. And then now we can subtract the corresponding elements. So 6 minus 0 is 6. 6 minus 20 is -14. -27 minus 8 would be what? -35. And then -3 minus -20 would be -3 plus 20, so that would be a 17. So that would be our final answer right there. So you've got to do the scalar multiplication before you do any addition or subtraction. It's like order of operations. All right, and you might come across a problem like this where it tells you that the matrix is called a letter like A. Notice it's in capitals. And it's telling us to find negative 6a. So all that's saying is, multiply this by negative 6. So we'd have positive 60, negative 30, positive 6, negative 54, negative 18, and then negative 48. And that would be our final answer. So hopefully you guys found addition and subtraction and scalar multiplication of matrices very, very easy. Have a good day.